Of course, I've got all the pings. Okay, that should be good. All right then. So it looks like we are currently connected. Yeah. It is chugging, and I'm not sure why it's chugging. Let's see if it will let me change settings midstream. I don't know if that'll help much or what, but yeah, it is definitely struggling, and I'm wondering what's going on there, because my computer resources are that's a little bit better. So maybe that's what I needed to do, is just lower that down a bit. So we'll see how that affects quality. I'm on fiber. Now I'm not on the full fiber hookup, but this is still fiber internet, so this shouldn't be causing this much of an issue. All right, we'll also see if that'll help a little bit by doing that. So this is just going to be a chill little thing. We're going to be taking a look at some Warhammer Community content. Let me bring that up on an interaction screen here. All right. Can I get this in a better window than this? I had this before. And maybe not. Maybe it don't wanna. Maybe you just don't wanna. Anyway, all right. So this, of course, okay, why is it not letting me interact? Okay, it's letting me kind of interact, but I can't scroll. I'm wondering if I should just try to do this as a display capture. I wonder if that'll be easier, because I can't seem to scroll on this page. Like I can, it's hovering and giving me tooltips, but it's not letting me scrolling. All right, well, live and learn. Boop. We'll pull over a new tab. I don't think I've got anything compromising on my tabs right now. Although that advertisement that pops up on Firefox is a little bit lewd looking at a quick glance. But of course, that's probably just my dirty mind. And of course, this is not in dark mode. I wonder if there's a way to permanently set it to dark mode. I wonder if that's also part of the issue. Alrighty then. So let's pull this up. We're just going to do a display capture. All right. So here we are. And of course I put that over my video capture device. So that's got, there we go. All right. Think I should make it bigger, bad guy? Also, thank you very much for joining me. So you want me to make my webcam bigger? Well, that's easy enough to do. Something like that. Actually, I want to switch these. Just going to put this a little bit closer to my field of view while I'm watching this. There we go. Tiny bit bigger. Oh, okay. Excellent. All right. So this, of course, is the big news. Our first entry in the Advent calendar, which looks like some contributions to the forces of the Plague Father. Hello, Demon. Thanks for joining me. All right, but as I mentioned, or as I indicated in the description, I'm just a little bit behind. I have been full on in the Path of Exile hype. I just realized maybe I should have this closer to me. Testing, testing. Make sure that doesn't make things too loud. But yeah, I have been completely and totally engrossed in Path of Exile hype lately. So I have not been paying attention to what's going on Warhammer, and we just had some massive updates. If I can find them. So this one I know we'd already gotten revealed. They pull the previews down? Well, that's going to make things a little bit awkward if the previews aren't showing up. This is all about the Warhammer previews is what I wanted to do today. And we're going back to October here. The previews were last month. That's weird. Wonder why that is. Because I switched it. Maybe it's because it defaulted to that as my gaming mode when I set it to the gaming channel. Well, let's go ahead and do that then. Thank you for the advice. Yeah, it's not showing that I've got a game selected. Oh well. All right. We'll just put it to other. Okay. So where did they hide the Warhammer previews? Here we go. I guess they've put them all in their own separate category now. Now, we're not going to watch the whole video, especially since most of these haven't been very good lately. We're just going to be looking at the miniatures. So let's start with the ones I've had the most spoilers on, because I am still, in like Warhammer Discords and Reddit and stuff like that. And these, of course, have been everywhere. Let's start with our boys in the Death Corps. So, of course, we're getting a whole new launch box for Imperial Guard that is all Death Corps of Krieg. There's been a little bit of umbrage over this launch box. It feels a little light. And just looking at it, it really does feel a little light. You basically got a bunch of cavalry. It looks like a single... I'm guessing that must be like a new veteran squad for Krieg. And then one battery. No tanks. And no large-scale infantry, which of course Guard is known for large-scale infantry. So obviously lots of new miniatures, because these are all new miniatures. But it does feel a little light, even with the inclusion of the Codex. But, yeah! Look at that! This is our new character for Krieg. Lord Marshal Varnon Dreer. Apparently you can have him with either the pistol or a saber. Yeah, we got the new sculpt on the Krieg steeds, which look absolutely fantastic. For those of you who don't know, Krieg steeds are a vat-grown steed, which is why they've got these clawed feet instead of hooves. Here's some more shots. There's the saber. It looks like that might even be a power saber. So you got a couple of different ways you can pose him. And here are our new Death Riders. Ah, they changed where the arrows are. Used to be on the side of the screen, so you could just easily click and scroll through. GDub's gotten really good. Like, look at this one. Like, look at that sense of motion that they've gotten that. Like, we're not quite there, but that's almost to the quality where you could expect this to be a cut from like a movie or a CG cutscene at least. They've just gotten so good at making their models look so lively. These are combat engineers. This is our new specialist corps. Looks like this is like a remote mine of some type. Even with like a little... That's kind of weird for like a drilling thing. Like, it can kind of get what they're going for. Like that kind of drill track structure. Well, that's still a little on the weird side. But again, the rest of the Def Corps miniatures here just look fantastic. And then this is our new ordnance gun. The big guns never tire. Now, my guess is, from the looks of this, and from the fact we already have 2 different heavy weapons team you can get in Guard, my guess is that this is an immobile emplacement. This is going to be movement speed 0. So wherever you set this up on the battlefield, that's where it is. We have some miniatures that might... Like, it wouldn't surprise me entirely if they gave it like a really slow move speed, like they gave the Space Marine emplacement. But this really does kind of look like a static emplacement to me. Like, this should not have a move speed. Which, of course, you know, would also help balance out the fact that they're giving Guard yet another indirect firing platform. You know, I have a thing. It's one of those things I actually like. Bricky has talked about this, and I kind of agree with Bricky on this. I feel like if you're going to have a cover on a codex, it really should introduce you to the faction. So I don't feel like this does a good job of that. But this is an amazing art piece. Like, you know, they're definitely going with the whole World War I vibe here. And like, this looks like you might see this as like a painting hanging up in like a castle in Europe. So even though I don't think it works for like good codex art, this is a fantastic art piece. Oh, we're not done yet. We have a command squad. See, this should be in the box too. Like with how light on miniatures there is, if the whole point is like this is the Krieg refresh, this should be in the box too. We got a new Krieg Commissar. It's a nice little servo call. Yeah, servo call. What's a servo call? Servo skull setup. Say that 3 times fast. We got our Vox operator. This must be our medic. The medic is literally carrying just a rack of tubes. That's fantastic. Oh, it's stuff like this. This is stuff like this is why I love Warhammer. This is so thematically and just on the nose and just utterly ridiculous. Guys carrying a freaking laser pistol and a old-fashioned wooden rack of test tubes. And then, of course, we got our veteran trooper and our standard bearer. Nice sculpted banner for those of us who can't freehand. Like kind of the non-metallic effect that the heavy metal team put on this. That's pretty nice. Oh, and we've got a heavy weapons team. Cool. So I wonder if this is if they're going to do this as like an alternate sculpt for the heavy weapons team, where this just counts as your guard heavy weapons team, or if this is going to be a separate heavy weapons team. Giving guard even more big guns. And then here's our new codex cover. Nice action shot going on here. And again, this is, again, I love Krieg, but while this gives a vibe of, I think, actually, I'm not even sure this really gives the Krieg vibe all that much, because the whole vibe of Krieg is that they just don't give up. Like, they will just throw men into the meat grinder because they feel like they've got that much to lose. So I'm not sure on this one. Like, again, I really do like it when the cover really gives you a good feel for what the army is all about. And Guard is all about that combined arms, you know, large units of infantry, large units of tanks, all backed by artillery and air support. You know, that classic like World War II combined arms style combat. And so like, yeah, Krieg is awesome, but Krieg is obviously more like, you've got the very obvious reference to World War I and the trench warfare And so it, to me, like, just having Krieg be the focus of the codex, it doesn't really sell the full fantasy of what Guard is. But yeah, so those are the Krieg reveals. We knew those were coming, and I'd already had a couple spoiled. Like, I'd already seen some blurry shots that I had not focused in on of Varn and Dreer here. Or maybe it's Dreyer. Actually, since Krieg is probably Russian, so that would be Dreyer. Or not Russian. Yeah, German. Don't want to get those two confused. That's probably Dreyer. If I remember my German pronunciation from my my choral days. I sang a lot of German work in choral. So... But these are not our only 40k reveals. Because when I was at the shop, they were gushing about some other ones. But we'll go in order here. The Empire of Man is united in war. So Empire is back for Old World. I'm pretty sure that's a new siege tank. So they've been doing a mix of making new models for Old World while also bringing back some of the older models, including pewter. They're actually bringing back pewter for a lot of these models. So it can be hard to tell. Like, sometimes I can tell, like, this image we're too zoomed out, but sometimes I can tell which ones are the returning models and which ones aren't. I didn't play enough Fantasy to have a really good memory for what all of the models look like. Excuse me, sorry about that. But I'm pretty sure this is a new siege tank. And see, this is the kind of codex cover I like. Like, to me, this really sells the fantasy. Like, there could be some more, like, they could have some more shots of, like, artillery or cannon in here. But, like, this really feels like an Empire army to me when I look at this artwork. All right, so here's some new plastic kits. We've got some type of new Lord on a Griffin. And look at that Griffin. That's a chunky boy. Look at him. Or maybe her. I don't know how to sex a Griffin. Look at that. And of course, the heavy metal team. Just knocking it out of the park on these feathers here. Like, I'm so stunned by the feathers. I don't even notice the barding. Like, look at this barding, too. Like, holy cow. You can care less about this dude. I do like that a lot of these new sculpts, they are still, like, they feel like old world sculpts a lot of the time. Like, this feels like something G-Dub could have put out in the 1990s. Early aughts kind of thing. Okay. Trying to see which units these are. I guess these are, see, state troops, state missile troops, flagellant gray sword archers, free company militia. So we're just kind of getting like a lot of different. Yeah, it looks like we're getting all new plastic for these. I wonder how much new plastic they're planning for Old World. Oh no, returning plastic. Okay, all right, yeah, returning plastic. Okay, there's the thing I've got to be looking for. Yeah, this is returning plastic too. Which is weird though. I thought this doesn't. I don't think I've seen this Griffin before. I wonder if this is new and like these are returning. But I guess I better better pay closer attention when I'm looking at these Old World kits. Here are the old flagellants. I think Empire was one of the last armies that got a range refresh. I mean, they're one of the big. They're like the big army of Old World, or were, I should say. Like them in Chaos. Kind of the equivalent, the Old World equivalent of Space Marines in Chaos. Much to the ire, I'm sure, of many a Bretonnian collector. Yeah, they're bringing back a lot of kits. I'd completely and totally forgotten this thing existed. This one I remembered. I remember this guy. I have faced this guy across the table. Oh, this is something you don't want your elves getting shot at. More returning plastic. Now, to be fair, like a lot of these sculpts, they do still hold up. So while I think a lot of players would love to see some more refreshes, oh, this is returning plastic on this steam tank. Like I can see, because, you know, not that GW, it's my understanding the way GW works is their releases are often based just as much on the art and the way the art team and the sculptors are doing as it is on any kind of like need. Like they'll definitely put the message out to their team like, hey, you know, we're getting a lot of fans clamoring for that Eldar refresh, but they release stuff when they think it's ready. Usually, I've had some doubts lately, you know, specifically with Blood Angels, but returning resin. So these are old pewter kits that have been converted to resin, probably. Although some of these like are intricate enough, these might have been old Finecast kits at one point too. I don't remember this one. This definitely feels very Empire though, but I don't remember ever seeing this. And metal. Here's the pewter. Like I said, they're bringing pewter back for some of these. For all of those with your nostalgic for your white metal days. I don't mind pewter for display painting. Like, I will happily put together and use a pewter kit for display painting, but I hate pewter for gaming. I hate, you know, painting up a gorgeous miniature and then like a couple games later it's all chipped. It's like, how much varnish do I need to put on you? Ah, oh, this is so old GW here. This is so old GW. All right. Got some air support. Is this Legions or is this regular Horus Heresy? Arvis Light Lander. All right, this is Heresy. I like the driver and the pilot and the gunner details here. I'm not sure what I feel about the actual just vehicle itself, though. Ah, it's a Malkador. I'd heard a rumor we were getting these. We finally got our plastic Malkadors. I just love this. God, could you imagine what a liability this is, though? Can you just imagine? Like, I would, you know, the whole concept of a tank is it's supposed to be something you use to support infantry. So, in theory, this thing is nearby some infantry. And it's just hauling around this literal wheeled thing of Prometheum. Oh, I forgot which portion this one is. This isn't the Derrideo, is it? Let's see. No, this is the Derrideo. Okay. So we got a plastic Derrideo now. Okay. A couple of different loadouts too. You know, I don't know. I like the classic box knot, and I like how the new Primaris range has been kind of returning to that classic box knot. Oh wow, lots of different loadouts. I wonder if this is one of those cases where they were going to sell the weapon set separately, though. As they want to do for their specialist games, I know, and I know so well from playing Titanicus. I still got a bunch of stuff I have to paint there. Magnetize and paint. But I guess that might be one of their ways of, pardon me. I guess that might be one of how they're trying to make a little extra money, was the fact that so many people are magnetizing their kits now. But as we've seen from recent stock portfolios, it's not like GW needs the money. Reinforcement for the Auric war clans. These we knew were coming. They told us about these. I shouldn't say they said exactly what they were going to be, but in the last preview that they did, they were very heavily implying we were going to get something like this. Especially since Ironjawz are like the only faction in AOS right now that does not have a spearhead. Hey Crash, how's it going? Oh, of course it's based off of something real world. Oh. Again, boy, would I want to be as far away from that, the Churchill crocodile. Oh, I would want to make sure I was as far away from that tank as possible. Yeah, so here's our new battle tome for Auric War Clans. Yeah. And we had a preview of this earlier, but yeah. So this is obviously a Cruel Boy. Why does this Cruel Boy look like this, though? This is weird. This is not something I'd expect to see in, like, my Auric War Clans. This is more something like I'd expect to see, like, in Chaos or, like, you know, Middle-earth Goblin Tribe or something like that. I don't know. This is something that just feels off about this one. Big old Gork and Morka, like, listening posts. I'm not sure how I feel about how they're, yeah, he does kind of, doesn't he? Like, yeah. Except trolls in AOS are big old things. But I guess, you know, was how much the Cruel Boys hang out in the swamps. Yeah, but back to this, they're doing this thing in AOS where they're trying to include the faction terrain a lot more. So that does mean that, like, every faction needs to get some more faction terrain, which makes me wonder if I'm going to be getting some for Daughters. Wonder what they'd even do for a dock faction terrain piece. Like a stationary cauldron? Maybe they'll do like a Shrine to Marathi. Here's a more Cruel Boy version of it. Oh! The foot is back. Oh, yes. This stomp down on your enemies was the foot of Gork and or Mork. This is kind of weird, though. This feels almost more chaos than orcs. But at least we're getting the foot. And this feels very Cruel Boys. And here's our new spearhead. This looks like a pretty good spearhead for the new. I have not gotten to play the new spearhead yet. I've heard such good things about it. I really need to get one of the spearheads painted up and try it. And I wouldn't actually mind like this one either, because I do kind of love the theming of Iron Jaws. But this does look like a pretty decent Iron Jaws like little force to head out with. All right, so there's our AOS destruction preview that we knew was coming. Looks like this might be more AOS. Git mob prepares to race across the mortal realms. Yep, this is more AOS. And this looks like it's more Cruel Boys. No, Gloomspite Gits. Some of the way this feels like, it feels very Cruel Boys this, but no, this is Gloomspite. Interesting. Whoa. Look at this ugly mug. First of all, this is really big for a Git. Like these guys, these feel a bit big for a goblin, but no reason to maybe the goblins just grow bigger in the plains or wherever this is from. But look at this. Look at this wolf mount. Look at this face. I got that nice scarring there. Like, honestly, this is fantastic. I almost feel like, the whole concept of like when the the master and the pet start to look like each other. I almost feel like that's got this has that going on. I really like this. Again, I'm not sure like about the feeling of the fantasy. I'm sure everybody who loves Spider Riders is probably like banging their heads against the wall right now, but this miniature is great. Like, this is awesome. Oh, got a couple of different heads. So we got this one here with the helmet. Then we got this big fat head, no helmet. And then this head looks like a little bit more streamlined, a little more classic goblin with the helmet. Again, heavy metal team, just knocking it out of the park. Look at this tassel here, like, just absolutely fantastic job. Yeah, this is starting to feel like a little bit more goblin to me. Like, this feels much more goblin, especially with the two goblins on the wolf. So my guess is this is probably like your pack leader, and so I'm guessing this is going to be a kit of 3. Yeah, these are great. Again, like, this is not the kind of fantasy you expected, but that's actually one of the things I love about AOS. Age of Sigmar, just like, they take concepts and they run with it. Like, why can't we have goblins on Wolfpack in AOS? Like, forget wargs, let's just make actual wolves. And we'll give them a Mongolian theming. So we've got like some very slight Mongol theming in some of this headdress and stuff like that. We'll have wolves pulling chariots. Anyone who thought that the Sigmarines were going to get their version of Space Wolves is like, nope, we're giving the wolves to the goblins. Goblins get to have all the wolf fun. These are fantastic. I love that. Love the iconography on these. And I guess very simple. I'm wondering if it's the collector's battle tome, but very simple theming there. Again, I'm really much more of a fan of art on battle tomes that kind of gives you a feel for what the army is like by looking at the cover of the book. Because this in many cases might be a player's first introduction to the lore and fantasy of a faction. So you should really be selling it right from the cover. Yes! Look at this! Oh! That's some brilliant sculpture right there. Brilliant posing. You know exactly what's going on from this. You get that sense of motion. That's fantastic. That is absolutely fantastic. Oh. Out of the park. Out of the park. I wonder how long they've been keeping this under wraps. I don't think, I'm not recognizing any teasers that they've done for any of this. This is fantastic. And here's one getting ready to launch. Knowing how this will be, this is definitely a multi-pose kit. You gotta go with this one. How can you not go with this one? This is fantastic. This is great. This is fantastic too, but like this one, this is just next level. Here's another of those big, fat, mean goblins. Ah! This guy's just hanging out. One of what Rogue Hobbies would call the little dudes. Just chilling. Just gonna hang out. It doesn't stop. Jeez. Wow. I'm blown away, honestly. Like, I'm so freaking jealous. Like, I don't have a lot of problems with AOS anymore. Like, it still has a few bugbears. Unfortunately, some of those crept into 40k, so I have less bugbears to complain about in AOS. Like I still don't like the random turn rolling in AOS. But I'm so jealous because like 40k is still my main game. And just I swear, like, there are days when I think the best thing they could do is just nuke the 40k universe. Just get the, have the rift open up, have the final battle between the resurrected emperor and chaos, or however they want to do it, and just reset the 40k universe and just let their artists and their sculptors go ham the way that the AOS team gets to go ham. because these miniatures are just so good. And especially like in the wake of like the Blood Angels and the new Sandguard, like, which was not all bad. Like especially like the new Lamarties. I really like the new sculpt for Lamarties. But like it feels like, I mean, Def Company was literally an upgrade sprue. Instead of sculpting new Def Company, they just did an upgrade sprue for it. And yet AOS gets this stuff. I seriously get jealous sometimes. Yeah. And again, like they're theming the cover just like the Guard one. This is theming around a piece of the faction instead of the faction as a whole. So to me, this doesn't really give the fantasy of what Gloomskite gets is about. I'm not even sure it completely delivers the fantasy about what these guys are about. Like, you know, you look at this and then you come down to this art and it's like, bit of a fail, art team. Not gonna lie, bit of a fail. But miniatures, sheesh. I have to get this. I'm gonna have to get this just to paint it. Just to paint it and put it on one of my display shelves. This is fantastic. All right. This, I think, is just Black Library stuff, which I can't really do a lot of reaction to because I am not even close to done with the Horus Heresy yet. But it looks like we're getting some type of Daughters of Cain book, a Malineth Witchblade novel. I was not familiar we had a Black Library character. But again, this is kind of cool. I kind of like this. The way they did this relief here. That's kind of cool. But again, as I was saying, I'm still neck deep in the Horus Heresy. Oh, Malineth's one of Gortrek's companions. Okay, that makes sense. I knew we were getting a new Minalensk. Minkalevsk. Yeah, I always pronounce that name wrong. I also hear it pronounced wrong a lot, too. Down at the shop. But I knew we were getting a new book for her. Ooh. Something Necron this way stirs. I just recently, I stuck my head from Horus Heresy long enough to read The Infinite and the Divine, which is one of the best 40k novels of all time. Like, it's just so good. But I don't need to heap any praise on The Infinite and Divine because, yeah, it's everybody knows The Infinite and Divine is good. So I legitimately, especially with all of the fun things, one of the ones that got pointed out to me that I have the game and I haven't played it. And of course, with Path of Exile 2 coming out, I'm not going to be playing it anytime soon, is in Mechanicus. The Necrons often feel like they have more character than the humans do. And like the whole, I've actually even started to develop like this headcanon, like this theory, headcanon / theory, that the origin of humanity has to do with the Necron tier. Like, we've already got the whole pyramid, Egyptian theming that hints that the Necrons might have had some type of influence in our culture at some point. But like, just like how much our species have in common and how much our cultures have in common. You know, to the point where, you know, Trajan's literally pointing it out. Like, so it's like, yeah, it's, I don't know. I'm still trying to figure out like how it would fit in the timeline. Like, almost make me wonder if like, one of the remaining old ones maybe tried to reseed the Necron tier on a better world. You know, it's kind of like a way, if they were worried they might end up wiping them out, so they just tried to reseed them, so that maybe the species would still survive, and that turned into us or something. Because there's always been a fan theory that the old ones had something to do with our creation as well, even though, again, the timeline's kind of weird. Because the war in heaven supposedly ended when the dinosaurs like died out, and of course is implied to be responsible for the extinction of the dinosaurs. But that doesn't mean that since one of the fan theories is that there's an old one that's still been wandering around, still managed to survive the war, and is still trying to do stuff, whether or not they're still alive in the 40K timeline or not. But yeah. Oh yeah, the Necrons, we know, yeah, Mars is a tomb world. So we know that the Necrons were in the Sol system at some point. So, but at the same time, they've also, like, one of the things you could also argue though, is especially from the Infinite and Divine, when we look at Serenade, we know that Necron technology can influence human growth and development. So somebody could argue, well, it's like, well, the reason that Egypt developed and you know, Earth developed like pyramids and stuff all around these different cultures is because emanations from the tomb world and Mars were affecting human culture and stuff like that. So that's like the counter argument to my theory. But either way, like, I find the way they've developed Necrons in 40K to be absolutely fantastic. Like, I really like the Necrons as a faction at this point. Like, they went from being, in my opinion, a very boring faction, you know, which, I mean, 40K's been doing that a lot lately. Like, you know, you got Gilliman here in the corner, and Gilliman went from being like the most boring vanilla Primarch, and the Ultramarines being the most boring and vanilla faction, to being a genuinely like fascinating faction where so much of their faction is built around like the mourning of what is lost and, you know, regrets of the past and failures of the past, even as GW continues to write them as being a near indomitable and unstoppable force. Ooh, and we're getting a Black Library art book. I would not mind having that at all. I don't know if I'll be able to pick it up, but I would not mind having that. Red Tithe, Outer Dark, and Void Exile. Oh yeah, I'd heard that they'd done a trilogy around the Carcharodons. I don't know much about them, but I heard that they were doing that. They're one of the ones that there's like a fan theory that they're actually like world eaters. Like they were founded based on Angron's gene seed. Give me just one moment. I have to take some medication. By the way, how has stream quality been holding up? I think my problem was I was trying to push too high of a bit rate, but again, I should be able to do a higher bit rate. Like, my internet should be able to handle that, but maybe it gets into the network, and like maybe my house's upload speed is great, but once it gets into the greater Nebraska network, it's all borked. Okay, so Twitch is doing good. Anybody, Crumb Num the Bum? You still on the YouTube side? Can you tell me how the stream's holding up? And granted, of course, again, I'm just literally looking at Warcom articles and then doing my webcam. And although I've got my webcam at a pretty high frame rate and resolution, that's not exactly going to be taxing things where, you know, PoE 2 is going to really tax things. Yeah. But the fan theorying is actually one of the things I really like about the 40k universe, because it's just like, yeah, Primaris World Eater successors, why not? All right, here they are. I have not had a chance to look at these, and I have had relatively few spoilers from these. Why did I open a new tab? Let's just do it this way. Everyone, like, we knew a while back because it got, somebody got spoiled and leaked it. But we knew a while back we were getting a Suramon. And then Fuegan got spoiled. And so they went ahead and revealed Fuegan. But yeah, apparently GW just said, you know what? It's Aspect Warrior time. So we got our new Fire Dragons. Really, the armor is so defined and detailed on these, I'm not sure I like it. I mean, it's very Eldar. Like, you can still see the classic inspirations in it. Even almost like, especially with the helmets, it even still feels a little bit like it's the old school heroic scale. Although the hands are a lot closer to true scale. I'm not sure though. Like some of the way this is sculpted though, just feels, there's something about it that feels off to me. Yep. And here's our Saruman. This I like. I like how simple and elegant the faceplate is. Like, anytime they work these sweeping curves in like this, like, I really like that. Got kind of like the pharaonic beard here. Again, Heavy Middleton knocking it out of the park with that sword. Is it the paint scheme, I'm wondering? No, the Fire Dragon armor here is just more detailed. I wonder if it just feels busy to me. Because this is also very detailed, but it doesn't feel busy. No, I really like this. This I really like. And got some close-ups of that sword. Again, sculpted banner for those of us that can't freehand. Ah! Is this our new Baharas? Yep, this is our new Baharas. Wow. there is still a little bit of the way they're doing the posing off of the, again, flight stands can die in a fire, but they haven't quite gotten the whole leaping and flying and jumping off of things down on all of the figures. This is a lot closer than we saw in some more recent attempts, though. But still, like, yeah, it's better than I've seen in a lot of it. It's better than I've seen in a lot of more recent attempts. But like, other than that, like, everything else about this miniature is fantastic. Got a back shot of the wings here. Yeah, I do think in some cases some of these are getting a little busy with some of these detailings. Like, it feels like it's like just a little too much, maybe too cluttered here. Maybe that's maybe that's what's turning me off about those fire dragons, but yeah. Other than that, like, yeah, I'd say Eldar players are eating well. Here are our new swooping hawks. Honestly, I think the posing on this one, I'm wondering if I'm just getting the angle right. Like, I wonder if because of course we're not seeing this in 3-dimensional space, because like the posing on this one, doing the whole foot thing, this looks fine to me. I don't have any problem with this at all. This looks great. So I do wonder if it's just one of those things where I need to actually like look at the miniature, like actually have it in my hands. Yeah, not all of them are hitting that, at least from the photograph. But yeah, it's just, they're trying to get rid of flight stands, and I'm all for getting rid of flight stands. I've had so many broken flight stands on my gargoyles, it's not even funny. I actually magnetized, I don't know if they can be seen from here. You know, my big head's in the way, but I've got gargoyles in the case behind me there, and I magnetized those flight stands so I didn't have to worry about them breaking anymore. Dude. Dude. Look at that. That's awesome. Come on. I think this is I heard that Eldar were getting a new one. I think this is the new one. Yeah, Lycus. I've never heard of Lycus before. So yeah, I think this is our new Phoenix Lord. Yeah, this is awesome. This is another piece I might have to get just to get in paint. If I can even ever get caught up on my painting. And here are new spiders. Yeah, these are working for me. It was just the fire dragons, for some reason, felt busy. Maybe Baharov's jump pack. These are fine. I love these. And of course, this is like one of the kits that has most needed a refresh for the longest time. Looks like we got two different kit outs for the Exarch. And here we got them all assembled. Fighting my GSC. Except we don't have the Banshees. I don't see the Banshees. Nope, nope. Banshees are hiding up there in the corner. There are the Banshees. There's Janezar. Oh, we don't have Karandras, I just realized. We don't have a new Uncle K. We've got new Striking Scorpions. We just got those recently in Kill Team. But we don't have Uncle K. Warp Spiders get a whole new Phoenix Lord. Striking Scorpions still have to wait for Uncle K. Oh well. I'm sure they'll do like another update for when we get a narrative. Whatever the end of the campaign narrative is. Or end of 10th edition narrative, I should say. And again, just don't like the Codex cover. I had a bit of this ruined though, or a bit of this spoiled. Specifically this part, because who is this fire dragon stepping on? That's an Emperor's Children. So everybody's wondering, especially since they seem to be, it feels like the artwork is tying more into the current story. Everybody's wondering if one of the reasons we haven't heard from the Eldar and they didn't take part in Arcs of Omen is maybe they've got something going on between them and the Emperor's Children right now that we're going to find out about. Yep, it's Ranadandra. It's not Ranadandra. Yeah, we're not ending the setting yet. Even if the Eldar think we're ending the setting, the end of the setting's almost here. We're not there yet. All right. So those are our previews. Now, let's go back to all of the news articles. I wanted to see if I could find the article about how the Advent calendar was going to work. Here we go, Grotmus calendar. Okay, here we go. So, this is our Advent calendar. This is what we're getting today. And this is the real reason I wanted to make sure I logged in today. And this is actually like, this is probably what I'll be reacting to for a bit. I'll even somehow, probably while I'm waiting for Q, I'll even be doing this on the 6th when Path of Exile 2 comes out. But yeah. We got our all scrambled up Grotmus calendar. And every one of these, until the 24th of December, 30 in total actually, with a few options coming on some days, a new matched play legal detachment for 10th edition Warhammer 40k. I am absolutely stunned. I'm still wondering what's going on as to why we didn't get any 40k releases for Christmas. I mean, just on the whole, the company feels release light. Now, the only potential good reason for this is that they might be trying to let the new edition of Middle-earth breathe. I feel like there were so many new releases that came out around AOS 4 that edition didn't get to breathe and have its day in the sun the way Leviathan did. So I am wondering if they're just, especially since, you know, it's been a while since they've launched a Middle-earth game, I am wondering if they're just trying to keep release schedule around it light. But it just seems weird that we're not getting any real new releases for 40k around Christmas. We're just getting the boxes. But either way, It's not like they're going to let the 40K team take a holiday. So yeah. So we're going to get 30 new detachments. And then at some point, they said we're going to be getting the balanced data slate. Now, I don't know if that data slate is actually dropping in December or if we're just getting part of the rules in December, because usually they save it for January. I don't know if they had a bit of an emergency situation because, like, the Death Watch players especially, and especially with Space Marine 2 featuring Death Watch at the beginning of the game, you know, and just not having good faction representation right now. So I'm not sure what's going on there. We do know that they've said they're going to be doing something for Space Marines, including Death Watch. And they're going to make some balance change to Genestealer cults with their Called Ambush rules, which definitely do need, I think, a little bit of a rework. And they said they're going to do something with Miracle Dice, which I honestly think can probably be fixed mostly. Like, it feels to me like Sisters can mostly be fixed with points. And maybe some tweaking to some unit rules to maybe make it a little bit harder for them to get as many Miracle Dice as they do. But other than that, I actually hope they don't rework Miracle Dice all that much. I think they showed with the way they changed Fate Dice for Eldar that as long as the player isn't swimming in dice, as long as they just don't have tons of dice they can just pull rolls from, then it's fine. It's a perfectly fine mechanic. I do think, though, that Called Ambush, the way it currently works in game, is either broken or horrible, depending on how they've got it balanced. And right now it's on the broken side. I just think they need to do something to fix Called Ambush and get things working a little bit more smoothly there, while at the same time not having that risk that your opponent literally has to fight like a 4,000 point army. All right, well, this is taking me right to our Death Guard. All right, let's take a look. Grotmas Calendar Day 1, Grandfather Nurgle brings gifts. The Fly-Blown Host. Love how they managed to get like the I don't know if they're doing that with like an actual like live Steam effect to get this, or if this is an overlay or not that they just photoshopped in. But just love that. Just absolutely love that. And of course, the new Death Guard models that came out tail end of 7s, beginning of 8s are just fantastic. As the Death Guard stride inexorably towards their foes, the battlefield buzzes with the wing beats of 1 trillion swollen flies. Bloated and mutated plague marines march beneath a pathogenic haze, striding forward slowly and purposefully, unleashing precise salvos of diseased projectiles. The obscuring swarms foul their foes' return fire, and whatever clots of contagion their desperate shots manage to clear away are filled moments later by yet more hovering insects. Amidst the droning miasma, the Death Guard stride on at one with a crawling horror surrounding them. As the horrifying cloud washes over the enemy, their warriors retch and claw at their skin. The Plague Marines exploit the distraction ruthlessly, cutting down their stricken foes and leaving nothing but rotting corpses in their wake. So we're going to have a new Verminous Haze to scout at the beginning of the battle. Oh boy. Ooh. Scout on Death Guard. That could be fun. All right, let's take a look at it. Verminous Haze. A cloud of winged insects descend over Mortarian's pathogenic suns, obscuring their malodorous ranks and shielding them from eyes and augers of the enemy. Beneath thrumming storms of fat-bodied flies, plague marines stride towards their wavering foes until they are close enough to unleash punishing volleys of killing fire. Death Guard infantry units from your army that are not embarked within a transport have Scout 5 inches and Stealth abilities. And as per the clarifications in the Rules Compendium, Scout 5 overrides the movement speed of a unit. So this means that some aggressively positioned what are the Terminators with the Man Reapers called? Death Shroud. Some aggressively positioned Death Shroud Terminators will get to move 5 inches forward after deployment. Even though they're movement 4, they get the full 5 inches. I am sure there are a lot of Death Guard players that are going to love that little advanced start to their army movement. This is going to make having like infiltrators and your own scouting units, because of course the limit is still the 9 inches. You can't scout within 9. But yeah, this is going to make having your own infiltrators and scouting units to secure the midboard before game very important. So yeah, that is a great start to this detachment. And of course, stealth is just gravy. That extra -1 to hit is just gravy. All right, let's take a look at enhancements. Oh, we got points on them this time. They're going to go ahead and give us the points. I wonder if they're going to have to update the MFM when they do the next balanced data slate to update any of the points on these, since these are match play legal. All right, Droning Chorus, 15 points. Festering swarms follow this champion to battle, and the drone of a billion flies invigorate his warriors, rotting bodies lending them fresh focus. Death Guard infantry model only. Ranged weapons equipped by models in the bearer's unit have the assault ability. Are you tired of how slow Death Guard move on the battlefield? This is auto-include. You're putting this on somebody. Wow. Insectile Murmuration, 20 points. The buzzing swarms respond to this champion's will, sweeping down upon his chosen target. They're crawling, biting, and droning, enfeebling the horrified foe. Death Guard infantry model only. Each time a model in the bearer's unit makes an attack that targets a unit that is within contingent range of 1 or more Death Guard units from your army, reroll a wound roll of 1. That's pretty good. It's attacks, which is nice. Yeah, it's attacks, which is nice. And Death Guard have a lot of like lethal hits, or a lot of dev wound weaponry. They have lethal hits too, but they do have a decent amount of dev wound weaponry. So anything that lets you reroll wounds is nice. Rerolling ones, you would think for a more elite army like Death Guard, they could have just gone with full rerolls. But I'm not sure about 20 points, but this is still probably pretty good. Rejuvenating Swarm, 10 points. With a hacking prayer to Nurgle, this warrior calls upon the swarm. Buzzing clumps of plague-bearing flies settle upon his bloated form and vomit streams of rejuvenating contagion into festering wounds. Oh my god. Oh, G-dub. Oh, that's fantastic. All right, Death Guard infantry model only. At the end of each phase, the bearer regains all of its lost wounds. All of them. Yeah, that's going on somebody. That's going on somebody. Even the flavor lulls. For the flavor lulls alone, but it's all wounds. If this were like D3 wounds or 1 wound, then this would be worthless, but it's all of them. You put this on like, again, like the leader of a Death Shroud Terminator, you put this on like a Lord of Contagion, something like that. It's like... Plague Veil, 25 points. When this diseased pilgrim marches to sites of festering putrescence, Nurgle's blessing manifests in a buzzing clot of darkness that falls like an enshrouding fog over them and their disciples. Death Guard infantry model only. While the bearer's unit is within range of 1 or more objective markers that you control, that unit can only be selected as the target of a ranged attack if the attacking model is within 18 inches. So this one, there are definitely times when it's going to be useful. The big problem is, of course, it's tied to a character. You don't want your characters sitting back outside of range, especially Death Guard characters. You do not want them sitting back outside of range. Obviously, yeah, it will let you keep them alive longer as they march up. Although the whole point of this faction, this detachment, is to give Death Guard a little bit more speed, get them into combat faster. But like for 25 points, you're gonna benefit from like 1 or 2 turns. That's a pretty big tax to put on a character that they're only going to have available for a couple of turns. So this is the only one I don't like. The other 3 are great. Like I think these 2 are auto include, and this one's probably pretty good okay as well. Especially if you put this on the right unit. Any unit that has a lot of access to devastating wounds, you'll want to put this on a character attached to that unit. All right, Nauseating Paroxysm, 1 CP. This is a strategic ploy. Contagion borne by the Death Guard and their attendant swarms of winged vermin trigger bouts of sickness and convulsions in those they encounter. Use at the start of any fight phase. 1 Death Guard infantry unit from your army that is within engagement range of 1 or more enemy units. Select 1 enemy unit within engagement range of your unit. That unit must take a battle shock test, subtracting 1 from the result. I do like the fact that it's -1 to the test. This is going to be situationally useful. If you're in combat with a unit, you know your opponent's going to want to spend CP on. This is something you might want to pop to try to stop that from happening. Of course, it really depends on the kind of unit you're fighting. You know, Space Marines, they still got to beat a 7. So you're still looking at a better 50% chance that they're not going to suffer any ill effect. So that's kind of rough for using a CP. And it's not like Death Guard have a lot that benefit from having battle shocked opponents. So now if Chaos Knights had something like this, that would be nice. Or of course my army. Droning Horror, battle tactic stratagem. Clouds of droning demon flies sweep across the battlefield to envelop the enemies of the Death Guard. As their victims claw and scratch at the seizing swarms, Mortarion Sons pick off their target at leisure. Used during your shooting phase. Target one Death Guard infantry unit from your army that has not been selected to shoot this phase. Until the end of the phase, each time a model in your unit makes a ranged attack, reroll a hit roll of 1. If that attack targets a unit within half range, you can reroll the hit rolls instead. Once again, Death Guard have a lot of access to lethal hits. So anything that lets you reroll hits is great. You could potentially use this to cheese in some wounds on some heavy armor. I'm going to have to go get some water. I had 2 bottles, but apparently I'm just really thirsty today. So yeah, especially using this in close combat. And again, that's the whole point of this detachment is getting up close fast. You know, getting your Death Guard into position and getting into that close combat where they want to be fast. Then this is you're going to be using this a lot. You're going to be using this stratagem a lot. Vermin Cloud, battle tactic. The storm of insectile contagion sweeps forward, dragging the Death Guard in its wake. That almost makes it sound like the vermin are dragging the Death Guard along like that. They're like, no, I don't want to go to the fight. No, I want to just be back happy and play with the Nurglings. None will escape the Plague God's embrace. All right, this is used on any fight phase. Target one Death Guard infantry unit from your army that has not been selected to fight this phase. Until the end of the phase, each time a model in this unit makes a pile-in or consolidation move, it can move up to 6 inches instead of up to 3 inches. Again, there's that mobility. Whole point of this detachment is getting Death Guard, taking this faction that's normally infamous for being slow and pondering, and all of a sudden, surprise! Right in your opponent's face. Yeah. Now, the trick here's the trick. What you're going to want, when you're going to want to use this, is when you're about to kill a unit, so you can do that 6-inch that 6-inch consolidate into an enemy unit that's being screened or is in the backfield or something like that. That's when you're going to want to use this. But you have to target a unit that hasn't fought yet. So you're basically gambling the CP that you're going to kill the unit you're in combat with. So this one will be trickier to use, but when you can use it, you're going to want to use it. Enervating Onslaught. Strategic ploy. Swathed in buzzing cloak of pathogenic decay, Nurgle's chosen crash into the foe, disease dealing death as surely as fist, maul, and blade. You use this in your charge phase, just as after a Death Guard infantry unit from your army makes a charge move. You're targeting that infantry. In fact, select one enemy unit within engagement range of your unit, excluding monsters and vehicles. Roll 1d6 for each model in your unit that is within engagement range of that unit, adding 1 to the result if that model is not a cultist or poxwalker model. For each 5+, the selected enemy unit suffers 1 mortal wound to a maximum of 6 mortal wounds. So obviously this is telling you that you want to use this on a big unit of Death Guard infantry. So you get a 10-man, you're rolling a 4+. You can potentially get 5 mortal wounds on the charge, providing they make it there intact for the charge. But you hit somebody with a 20-man Poxwalker brick with this, and you've got a better than even odds to get the 6 mortal wounds. So even if you're using this on like a cultist brick or a Poxwalker brick, as long as they're relatively intact, this is still a good unit, a good stratagem to play. So you're gonna be using this one a lot too. Yeah, I mean, this is tank shock on your infantry. Like, this is fantastic. Eye of the Swarm. Because Heart of the Swarm is taken. The vermin swarms intensify as the Death Guard close in upon the enemy. As their foes clutch and tear their crawling skin, pitiless Plague Marines unleash volleys of point-blank fire into their tormented foes. So you're going to use this in your shooting phase on one of your infantry units from your army, and again, cannot have been selected to shoot yet. Until the end of the phase, ranged weapons equipped by models in your unit, excluding blast weapons, have the pistol ability. So yeah, here they get tank shock. Here they get big guns never tire. So you're literally treating your Death Guard infantry like tanks with this. This is still going to be somewhat situational, but you will find situations to use this. Myphitic Invigoration. Demon flies are drawn to and invigorated by the foul miasma surrounding Myphitic blight haulers. Pardon me. In the vicinity of these malodorous constructs, the swarms gather in densities great enough to form a living barrier to the foe's attacks. Use this during your opponent's shooting phase just after an enemy unit has selected its targets. Target one Death Guard infantry unit from your army that is within 6 inches of one or more friendly Myphitic blight hauler units that was selected as the target of one or more of the attacking unit's attacks. Okay, so you're targeting a Death Guard infantry model, okay, that has been targeted by an enemy attack. So that when it's referring to the model being the unit being targeted, it's referring to your Death Guard infantry model. But you have to be within 6 inches of a blight hauler. Until the end of the phase, each time an attack targets your unit, if the strength characteristic of that attack is greater than the toughness characteristic of this unit, subtract 1 from the wound roll. So it's new. Darn it, I forget the name of the old stratagem. The old one that used to be that you only get wounded on a 4-up. Darn it, brain freezed. No! My brain has frozen. But yeah, it's the new version of that. This is something I feel like the Death Guard should have a lot more access to and a lot easier access to. Their whole point is that they're tough. Like, that is their whole point. Now, this is Death Guard on speed. And then the whole point of this detachment is we're trying to get Death Guard up there fast. So maybe like they're trying to theme it that, you know, you're exchanging some of your toughness, but Death Guard should have a lot more ready access, in my opinion, to -1 to damage and to this subtract 1 from wound rolls stratagem. Like, it's just something they should have more access to. So I kind of just wish that this requirement wasn't here. Like, I get the theming behind it, but like I just feel like they could have just said that the flies around Death Guard just get thick enough that they can absorb damage from attacks. So, like, it's still you're still going to use it if you can use it, and it's not like Myphitic blight haulers are bad, but yeah, this is probably like the closest thing to a miss in this detachment. So we've got the miss here, and then we've got the miss with Plague Veil. Everything else Like, yeah, this one's a bit situational. And this one is a bit of a gamble. You know, you're going to want to use it when you've got a pretty sure bet that you're going to destroy the enemy unit. But this is a kick-ass detachment. This is a good detachment. Like, I can't remember if they tied the new contagions to the old detachment. If those are tied to Gifts of Nurgle and not to the current Death Guard detachment, let me check. Let me find out real quick. Let me check. Okay. Ah, why'd you go off center? That was weird. All right. Oh, I know why. It's because of the other pages. Because of the datasheet pages. Okay. So yeah. Okay. So Spread the Sickness is the detachment roll. Okay, they tied it to the detachment roll, not to Nurgle's Gift. Okay. So this is a really, really good detachment ability. Like this single-handedly, this buff to the Plague Company single-handedly brought Death Guard up quite a bit in the rankings. So this is a very, very good detachment ability. It's one of those where you get to choose it. So you can tailor it to the opponent you're fighting. And the Death Guard stratagems are pretty good. Again, I do wish Disgustingly Resilient was a little bit more ready access. It's a 2 CP strat. They got Ferric Blight, which is nice. Like, there's a lot of good in this detachment. There's the stealth ability that they had before. So this is a tough detachment to compete with, but the big problem Death Guard have is they've got to get into combat. Once Death Guard close with the enemy, they're brutal. Like, they are an amazing close-range combat army. But they have to get there. This whole detachment is about getting there. Like, it is about giving Death Guard that head start so that they are active for much more of the game, and they are dealing their damage and getting their way and scoring objectives sooner. So this is going to be probably pretty competitive, even with the loss of Spread the Sickness. So I think this is going to be pretty good. I think we're going to see this on tables. Like, I know a lot of people are going to try it, just to have something new to play with. If you're a Death Guard player, you've been playing one detachment since the start of 10th edition, which was, summer of last year. So people are going to play this just to play it. But I do think this is going to be like, we will see this, I think, on top tables. Like, I think we will see this, actually, we're going to see like good competitive players preferentially choosing this detachment over Plague Company. So yeah, if this is what we have to look forward to this month for all of these Grotmas Advent Calendar detachments. And again, sometimes we're going to be getting more than one. Like, I think they said we're going to get 4 Chaos detachments, 4 for Chaos Demons. Basically, 1 for each god. This is going to be a lot of fun. This is going to be a lot of fun. All right. Oops, I closed it out. So tomorrow we're going to get one. Now, I have a doctor's appointment tomorrow. So I will not be streaming at this time, but I will try to stream when I get home. And yep, there is definitely a Grotmus on the 6th. So we've got, it looks like, yeah, we've got 1 day all the way up to the 24th. So I'm going to try to stream a little bit of these each day. You know, basically it's just a fun little diversion from my current editing. But yeah, even after the 6th, I'll try to just pop on once a day and, like, you know, grab each of these and give my thoughts. Because I do really enjoy geeking out over Warhammer stuff and trying to theory craft and come up with an idea. I'm not a competitive player myself as far as like actually like going to tournaments. I liked match play. I think match play is a lot of fun. I like trying to get the most out of my army list and trying to see if I can come up with cool strategies. I also do love narrative. I'm one of those players that I just like all of the 40K hobby. I like narrative. I like crazy game setups where there's like obviously no balance and you know one player is probably going to win. You know, but I also do like trying to see if I can actually like come up with cunning plans and try to play the army well on the tabletop too. So I do like trying to see if I can look at these new rules as they come out and see if I can get into that competitive mindset and figure out like how good is this compared to what's on the board right now. So I'm going to keep trying to do that for each of these, just a fun little diversion, just so my entire life does not become Path of Exile 2 for the next month. So, all right, I think I'm going to end the stream there. My throat is starting to get dry as I ran out of water. I will have to make sure I've got 3 bottles of water while I'm streaming. But for now, thank you everyone that joined me. Thank you, Crash. Thank you, Crumnum the Bum. Thank you, Bad Guy. Thank you, Lord of Demon. This has been Divine Erdrick, soon to be exiled Erdrick again, and I will see you all in the 41st month.